Okay, Paul. So we're going to go through the presentation that we gave to Defra a few months ago.
Okay.
And if we could explain to the listeners.
Okay.
What we said.
As the title, a perspective on the decline of our bees. It's a new perspective, and it has been born, if you like, out of my research on the causes of autism, which I found to be altered gut flora by the use of antibiotics. Bee decline, this is the next introduction. Bee decline is a serious subject, very serious. They go. It's not just bees, it's pollinating insects. If they go, we go, basically. And we've got 7 years, according to the people who look after the bees. They've calculated that we've got 7 years. And we've only got to look out the window, if you like, to see that that's the case. Pollination insects are disappearing, and very probably is the cause of the decline in farmland birds, lapwings, swallows, swifts, bats are going insect eating further up the food chain. But anyway.
And this isn't just the UK thing, is it?
No, it's a global thing. It's a global problem, with the exception of one very large continent, Australia, and we'll see later on why that's so. Well, see now, they don't use antibiotics on animals, which is the crux of the problem with the bees. If we go through the slides, we'll see that antibiotics have a profound effect on gut flora, and gut flora is responsible for our immune system. How we interact with our gut flora, which we've evolved with, commensal is the word, evolved with the gut flora. They are part of us, and they are us in a very real sense. They are responsible for synthesizing our vitamins, how we metabolize toxins, how we metabolize food. They're responsible for our immune system. They are us, they're not just an incidental part of it, help us digest food. They are vitally important. And by a process of whereby antibiotics have reduced the number of bacteria in the gut, it's allowed yeast to grow. Now, the toxins of yeast, the metabolites of yeast, are highly immunosuppressive, and it sets up a process where your immune system is compromised with the toxins of yeast, and the balance is upset, etc., etc. So, our hopes for the meeting was to ask the scientists at Defra to consider this and incorporate the new research, if you like, in existing research. So they could actually prove or disprove the theory.
Yeah. So basically, we were going there to present to them a hypothesis, explaining what we thought might be an underlying cause for the decline of the honeybees. Yeah.
Okay. I would say that our meeting was following a few letters over 6 months through, to the scientists of Defra, pointing out that existing research, which was looking at poor husbandry and climatic change, was not really a model for what's happening on the ground, if you like. We need an explanation that includes Australia, where they are free from the problem.
Yeah,
it's an absolute totally smoking gun, if you like. We've got to find out what Australia are doing right and we are doing wrong. if you like. And hopefully the presentation will show that.
Right. So the next slide was we were basically trying to explain how seemingly disconnected things can have important consequences, because what we're dealing with here is this decline of honeybees is again, on the face of it, a very complex problem. There are lots of things which could be potentially contributing to it. And systems thinking is a way of thinking that can be used to discover simple solutions when faced with complex problems. I mean, earlier we talked about cancer, but now we're talking about bees, because again, it's actually a very similar type of problem in some ways. Now, a very, very famous example of how systems thinking provided a new solution. In 1900, Lord Kelvin, who was a famous physicist, he famously stated, "There's nothing new to be discovered in physics now. All that remains is more and more precise measurement." Yeah. Now, 5 years later, after Lord Kelvin said this, Albert Einstein published his paper on special relativity. And what Albert had done was he'd looked at the existing data, the existing information, and he'd used that existing data to basically come up with a revolutionary new way of understanding the nature of physics in the universe. And we're faced with a very similar example with the Human Genome Project at the moment. We've produced huge amounts of data, but what does it really tell us? Unless you rise above that level of detail, it doesn't tell you anything.
No.
Now, another remarkable piece of work which was being done more recently, Warren Marshall and they were looking at Helicobacter pylori, and they demonstrated that Helicobacter pylori was promoting inflammation in order to suppress the immune system, and that Helicobacter pylori was actually the fundamental cause of many diseases. Now there's a number of papers which we highlighted to the scientists. First of all, we were highlighting again that gut flora is essentially an integral part of the immune system.
Yeah. As we've stated, it influences the normal structural and functional development of the mycorrhizal immune system. It is our immune system. It's absolutely vitally important. There's a number of studies. If you I say the Nobel Prize in 2005 was awarded to Robin Warren and Barry Marshall. Is a reminder that the solution to some human disease does not reside solely within the host, but rather may be found at the interface with the microbial environment. Never a truer word said. If you search on the gut flora as a forgotten organ, you can access the actual study of this slide. But the next slide is yet again reinforces that message, a unifying theory as to how the gut drives critical illness. Intestinal crosstalk. Now that's interesting, because actually bacteria talk to one another. They swap genetic material, and that's apparent that happens in the gut, and it happens to our benefit. We benefit by an army, if you like, of microbes that are working for us. They swap genetic information to maintain status quo, if you like. If we go on to the next slide, we see that antibiotic treatment changes gut flora, predisposing the host to salmonella infection. Okay, that's.
I mean, one of the things they've publicised recently is that if you take antibiotics, it can actually have a long-term